Joe Budden and the sassy tough phone call to DJ Akademiks.
Yo, can I speak to DJ Akademiks?
It's good over to it.
Can I speak to DJ Is this DJ Akademiks?
Should we say it the other way around? Can I speak to Joe Budden?
Listen, I'm on. Let me let you know. First of all, Happy New Year. I'm on the I'm on the air, so don't say anything that can incriminate yourself or myself. But I just wanted to give you a call. You know what I mean?
How's everything been?
I mean, everything is great, especially my Wi-Fi.
Oh, nice. Hey.
I gotta tell you, I'm seeing some things. I just wanted to know, like, everything cool? We cool? We good?
Oh no, of course, me and you were good, but I need, I like when my friends get along. All my friends get along. I gotta squash this you and Aiden thing, man.
Man, f that nigga. I don't give a fuck about him. I'm calling about you because in some of these clips I'm seeing, I mean, it's looking. I'm not hearing my man say, "Yo, I know Joe. I love Joe. I've worked with Joe. I made history with Joe."
That's all.
We ain't just about to just keep talking about Joe any type of way around me. Now, that's what I thought I would hear. Like, I don't care what anybody that I don't know has to say about me. So that's okay. But when I'm just seeing my man, my man is in these, I said, let me call my man. Because some people, they're going to try to put a battery in my back. Like, yo, action. I'm like, no, not my man. He wouldn't do that. No, he wouldn't do that. But then I'm not seeing you say, yo, I love homeboy, yo. Let's ease up on Joe.
No, of course. No, listen, you know that already, inherently. Even when I hear conversations about me on your pod, I know you love it.
That's what I'm saying. But tell them streaming.
Tell them have different personalities.
Let them streaming know.
What's up, words? Your boy Charles Brown back again talking facts. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Keep sending those Cashaps to CLBMG. Join the membership. And all you buying that merch down below. Gang, listen. I'm about to introduce a word into the lexicon that I think fits this situation perfectly. It's called sassy tough. And I think what Joe Budden just did warrants this reaction. I'm going to call his phone call to DJ Akademiks confronting him about not getting in front of the Aiden Ross disrespect. It's sassy tough. It's when you call somebody and you're not really being too tough, but you're not really being all that sassy. It's kind of in the middle. And I think what Joe Budden did was kind of like insinuate toughness, but not really. You're calling him on a hot mic, right? A hotline. You're telling them we're live, so don't say nothing. And then you keep dancing around the thing talking about what's good with you, you know what I mean? Yo, listen, now I want to talk about this sassy, tough phone call because, first of all, I don't know who Joe Budden is to press anybody. Let's just start there. Probably the only person on earth Joe Budden could press is DJ Akademiks, who just enough of a little Weasley worm to get intimidated by Joe Budden, who is not going to burst a grape in a fruit fight. Let's just be honest. And that's not the point of what you're going to do and not do. It's just the point of Joe Budden has never, I don't know if he's ever went to bat for Akademiks in any reason. I believe like Flacco actually said it that Mona's on Joe Budden's show. She's a part of Joe Budden podcast, a complete enemy of Akademiks. Takes shots at Akademiks at every single chance she get. She says some of the most heinous things about Akademiks you will ever hear, right? Rory and Maul 100% at war to this day with Akademiks. They sat on Joe Budden podcast for years at complete war with Akademiks, saying the most heinous things about him. I think Rory ended up sending flowers or something to Akademiks, put a letter in his mailbox. They was at complete war. Joe never ever stopped them one time from coming at Akademiks. And I think Mark Lamont Hill, he hired Mark Lamont Hill after a well-publicized war with Akademiks, right? And I'm sure that's not the last person who said something negative about Akademiks in Joe's presence. So Joe, with this sassy, tough phone call, got all the gall, gang. This is This is the unmitigated goal. To call me live on your program, sassing me out for not stopping Aiden Ross from talking crazy about you. This dude is fighting for his life right now, right? With this Aiden Ross shit, he in the middle of some shit. He desperately trying to just let cool off, which at the end of the day, Joe is noble, right, for standing up for Doechii, but that's where this ends. If Akademiks has somebody in his presence talking about Joe Budden, Joe has no right to call nobody sassing him out about not defending him. I want to read this article because at the end of the day, right, I got issues with both these guys. Both of these guys are not the most like stand-up individuals in this space. But let's just be honest. If you're gonna call me with an issue, please don't call me with this. Please. You letting Mona. I think Mona has challenged this man's manhood and dignity in every single kind of way possible for the last couple, I want to say, I don't know how many months. She's been disrespecting Akademiks, and you go and sign her, right? You put her on your podcast right there next to her, right? So I don't know what warranted Akademiks to sit there and try to do anything other than say, man, if you don't get off my goddamn phone with this bullshit. Let me read this article on hotnewhiphop.com by Gabriel Braz-Navarez, because I want to have this conversation, right? Joe Budden confronts DJ Akademiks for not defending him against Aiden Ross. Joe Budden took strong issue with Aiden Ross and Doechii's and his Doechii criticism, and DJ Akademiks explained why he's not checking Ross against Joe Budden. Aiden Ross' criticism of Doechii has spiraled into a bit of a media toss-up between Budden, Akademiks, and a few other figures. But it's important to clarify things when relationships get contentious like this. Yes, Aiden Ross is doing too much. Yes, he needs to be checked. Glasses Malone and others have checked him, right, for the nonsense he's done. He made a diss record. He called Doechii every name in the book. And yes, a lot of you guys are suckers because you let this guy do it, right? It is what it is. We're going to call a spade. And I know a lot of the younger guys don't understand what we're mad about. They're like, why you old heads all in a tizzy about this white guy talking nonsense? First of all, she don't even like men, gang. That's not the point. First of all, I don't know if you know how YouTube works, but they do YouTube videos where they bring you in and have you answer questions. Well, she was on a program and in a comical way said men are red flags, right? Straight men are red flags. Gang, I see straight women saying men are red flags. I don't know where the hate is coming from. You guys are mad sensitive, gang. It's literally a joke. She never said I hate straight men, but okay, you guys need something to continue your hate train. That's fine. I know it takes the slightest thing because you guys don't want to defend women anyway. Most of you guys are hurt nerds that don't know how to grab or touch a woman in the first place. So anything gonna spark you to say, F that broad, right? So I get that part. So we're not even talking to you. I'm talking to the guy that consider themselves real men that's going to be defenders of this culture, defenders of women, and defenders of what we stand for. Them the guys I'm talking to. Right? I'm not talking to the internet guys that don't want to do nothing but talk shit on their phone. You can excuse yourself in the conversation. I'm talking to the real people, right? The real guys. Now, these real guys are using that as a shield. Not only that, they like Aiden Ross. I mean, not the fake guys are using that as a shield. They like Aiden Ross. They like his content. They like his programming. They like Cuffem sitting there doing all these goofy things. He said, don't talk about Doechii with me in the room because they're calling me the COON word, right? Well, guess what? If the shoe fits, gang, so they like this kind of content. They like Cuffem beating people like he's a slave master. They love all this shit, right? They love Aiden Ross, all these racist undertones and overtones completely for the last couple years. He's played with that and hasn't had any qualms about having Nick Fuentes and all these other people that are very anti-black in his establishment and in his presence, right? They like watching this shit because it's nothing but content. They find it hilarious. They find it amusing. So these guys are not going to take the side of this. Joe Budden, on the other hand, took a stance and got called a lot of names by the people who want to defend this guy. I respect them for doing that. But at the end of the day, when you call an Akademiks he doesn't stand for anything just like these guys. He only stands for numbers, stats, digits. He only stands for how much money he can make. How much money do you make? Do I make more money than these guys? The most angriest thing we saw Akademiks get mad about, the heated he got this past year is when he thought those other streamers were turning their back on him. right? Remember, he thought the streamers were dissing him, and he went on a rampage that he was never going to stream with them no more. He was all in his feelings. He thought the other streamers were starting to outgrow him, and they knew it, right? He thought that they were feeling like they were bigger than him. And he felt that he brought them all up. He did them all a favor. Meanwhile, these guys were already doing their thing. But Akademiks took it like, you'll never be on my platform. I'll never, da-da-da. Remember how mad he got? So the only thing that gets Akademiks really upset and in his feelings is these other streamers in some way or form or fashion turning their back on him, in some way or form or fashion outgrowing him, not needing him. So that's what Akademiks cares more about. So he's not going to challenge Adin Ross now that he's back in good graces. He's like, shit, I might be here one day when Drake pops up. Right? He can't get a Drake on the stream one day. Remember when Drake went on the stream with Adin Ross? Maybe Akademiks thinking maybe he'll pop up again and I'll be there this time. Remember he called into that stream sounding like a little giddy girl? Told Drake when Drake did a particular song, he was going to run up on the stage like a little fangirl. Remember that? Akademiks don't want to mess up his connect with Adin Ross. Not for you, me, or Joe Budden. Right? So Joe Budden calling him saying, yo, why didn't you protect me? Tell him I'm your man. It sounds crazy. To Akademiks, he's going to sit there because he don't want to ruin any of these relationships. Every time you see these guys get into a tussle, Akademiks comes from the background to explain and overdub what's going on. Akademiks did a tap dance for Adin Ross. Everything wrong with Doechii. He never said Adin Ross was wrong at all. Never once. He said, well, Adin Ross says it's about all females. He says it's about anybody. Never once Adin Ross is wrong. He'll say, well, it's kind of wrong. And then he'll go into why Doechii deserves it, if you're paying attention. So he never, ever outright says anything to this guy. So I don't know why Joe Budden gonna give him this sassy on-air call other than content to make it like, yo, why you ain't defending me, B? Let me finish this article. On the most recent episode of his podcast, Budden called Akademiks to confront him about not defending him to Ross when he was trashing Joe for his criticisms of his attacks against the top dog star. If you can't tell, the game of telephone is long here. And caught by Joe Budden Clips fan page on Twitter, the former co-workers had an interesting conversation. This is just what people don't understand. Their relationship is and will always be transactional. Even if Akademiks ends up at one of these infamous pool parties, this, that, and the third, Akademiks is only there because he's still Akademiks. All of this stuff is all transactional. So even this phone call is not two friends that you think Joe Budden has real phone call conversations with his real friends. He puts them on the show. You think that really happens? No, this is a transactional call for content to let the world know that I need to check Akademiks in front of the world about my name being dragged in the mud by Adin Ross, who said some real funny and heinous things about him and said, pull up, right? Imagine a 25-year-old white kid telling a grown black man to pull up somewhere, right? I got the cops with me, pull up. So it got a little wonky, but it was all for content. Nobody's going to do anything to anybody. And Joe Budden is playing the game. Let me continue. Ak said he wants to squash Budden and Ross's issues, whereas the former said he didn't care about that and only had concern with Akademiks' remarks about Joe. Ak understood where Budden is coming from, but he also feels like he and Adin get ganged up on by folks outside of their audiences. Joe Budden responded by calling his man Akademiks and felt like Ak didn't defend him properly. What is Akademiks supposed to say when Adin Ross is sitting there going off on Joe Budden, who literally, let's just be honest, started it first? Now, I know them guys have had their issues in the past, but with this particular incident, Joe Budden said, I hope Glasses Malone and them Crips catch Adin Ross and beat his ass. He literally said that. So you plugged in with Adin Ross with that comment. You know how he is. You knew he was going to come back, which he did. You put Akademiks in the middle. Akademiks just sitting there like a deer in the headlights, staring ahead like, oh boy, this is bad. He don't know what to say because he don't want to offend you and get your sassy wrath. And then he don't want to get this guy's sassy wrath. Both of them sassy tough. Neither one of them going to do nothing. We just saw Joe Budden skedaddle out of the basketball game early because 50 Cent sat within eyesight of him, right? So we know Budden ain't going to really do nothing crazy. We understand this. No one's expecting him to, okay? Let me continue. Then Akademiks said he understands the love, that there is even that the love is there even in critical moments. And Budden just wants Ak to show that love more clearly and consistently. So he's demanding outward engagement and forced love every time his name is brought up in Ak presence. I don't know if Joe Budden does the same thing. These are people. This is really weird narcissistic behavior where you're going to call a guy and demand allegiance and loyalty on the open air, not in private. On the open air, you're going to demand that he show, what did he say? A clear and consistent love. It's weird, gang. And ain't nothing more sassy tough than this, in my opinion. He's earning this title, gang. This is sassy tough. Let me continue. If he does that, then he's happy. Akademiks said he relates to Aiden Ross' situation as a maligned younger content creator against old heads, and said that threats of violence against Ross have exasperated those rifts. Like I said, the young guys, they don't get why we're feeling this way, right? We grew up watching Roots and all these different things, and we understand the dynamic of why you shouldn't let a white guy call a black woman, no matter what's going on, a dirty bitch. I feel like some of these younger guys would sit back and record the guy slapping the white girl rather than stopping it. I'm just going to be honest. We've seen footage of this already on Twitter, these fight videos. We've seen these guys slap these girls, and these guys do nothing but laugh. So it's a different world out there, and we're not standing for it. I got it in my TikTok comments right now where the young guys asking, why you worrying about this? Mind your business. And then the other guy got to come and say the old heads are getting involved because you young guys won't say nothing. It's true. It's true. Okay, so let me continue, right? Akademiks finished by throwing his support behind Joe Scary and giving him props. You got to stroke these guys' egos. It's guys like Joe Budden. You got to reassure them and stroke their egos and confirm that I got your back, or these guys will go scorch earth on you. This is the thing. If Akademiks was really any half of the man he act like he tries to be, he would be like, man, I don't give a fuck what you say. Right? Because you don't defend me on your platform. Not often. Okay? Not enough for you to be sassy tough calling me. But everybody not built like me. Everybody is on their own plateau and their own platform, right? Me, I'm not even taking the call. I'm just gonna be honest. Not on air, right? We're not having this conversation because I'm gonna say some shit you might not want to hear. B, let me continue. For those, he'll say Akademiks finished by throwing support behind Joe and giving him props, understanding his character and his best interests, even when he's critical of Ak. Quote, you'll never see a world where it's Akademiks versus Joe Budden, Akademiks remarked. You won't, because Akademiks feels eternally grateful for their time on Everyday Struggle. He feels like he got where he is because of Joe Budden, and he did. That program launched Akademiks into a different stratosphere. I told you a long time ago, before Everyday Struggle, you didn't even know what Akademiks looked like. He never showed his face. I was surprised when they announced. I remember the commercial when they announced Joe Budden and Akademiks was going to be doing that show, and they didn't even show Akademiks' face on the first commercial. They showed the back of him walking into the studio with Joe Budden. So we still didn't know what Akademiks looked like till the fucking episode came. They had a few pictures of him, but it wasn't much. This nigga was a mystery. Now he's world famous because he did that show with Joe Budden. Let's just be honest. So he feels eternally grateful to Joe Budden, and no matter what Joe does to slime him, I'm just going to be honest, there's been mad instances where Joe Budden did some funny style shit and left Akademiks hanging, and Akademiks had to come back and kind of not grovel, but kind of like ignore that stuff and fake friendship Joe Budden all over again, because he never wants to get on the bad side of this guy, because Joe Budden would never look back. He'll do him like Peter Rosenberg and never take his calls again, never look back. So Akademiks doesn't want that. Let me continue. For those somehow unaware, Joe Budden and DJ Akademiks were both hosts on Complex's Everyday Struggle show, one of the defining hip-hop media pieces of the 2010s, whether you loved it or hated it. I used to watch it all the time. It was great content. And I even liked when Wayno came on. As a matter of fact, quiet as kept, I liked it more when Wayno came, because the show was, to me, it was less screaming and yelling, more actual conversation. I'm just that guy. I don't need you to be screaming, veins popping out your head for me to enjoy the content, right? Let me keep it pushing. It was basically the representation of the old head, new head rift of the SoundCloud era, and laid the foundation, for better or worse, for hip-hop media today. As for Joe Budden's beef with Aiden Ross, we'll see if that gets another update. Even with DJ Akademiks wanting to squash things, is not looking promising. Joe not going to squash nothing. Joe going to decide one day when he's ready to even entertain the conversation. But we know Joe don't be squashing. When the last time you heard Joe squash something? He may have apologized, like he apologized to Logic and then dissed him again later. So it's going to be Joe carrying this conversation as long as he feels like it. He might just stop talking about Aiden Ross altogether until he feels like it. So it's going to be, you're not going to be able to control that narrative act. It's not going to happen. All right, I'm going to leave it at that, man. Let me know what you think in the comments, man. This sassy, tough phone call, you know how they say, you got some nerve, gang. You really got some nerve, man. And Akademiks is the right one to pull it on. I'm out of here, man. CLBMG. Head on over to black-yeti.com. Let them know who sent you. They ship across the continental U.S. You got to put the dash in and let them know, all right? Also, every Wednesday night, we go live on The What Show, me, TJ, and Fliz. We have not done this show in at least 3 weeks. Last week, I was under the weather, right, a little bit. So we didn't do it this Wednesday, but we'll be back next Wednesday, all right? Tap in. Also, we got a new video off of that same team that the What Project. It's called the What. It's called This, That, Off the What Project on every streaming platform. Tap in, run those numbers up, and get my videos and watch that video and let us know what you think, all right? I'm out of here, man. I'm going to catch you on that flip side. Peace.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine. Elevate your mind with high quality THC infused products. BlackYeti.com. Black-Yeti.com.
CLB.
Get my coat, get my sheepskin, grab my wallet, get my pocket knife, and get that hat right there. We out. Grab my pocket knife too. Let's go. When I first came to the city, niggas didn't believe me. I just wanted to join a team and throw assist pass easily. 6 man off the bench, alley-oop pass freely. Suit up for one game and hope a scout might see me. But nah, niggas is greedy, wasn't rocking with him. Unplugged the scoreboard, put a lock on the gym. Told me to power forward, point guard at the rim. And left me with no center and a ball full of phlegm. Not knowing that I'm a dog, a Rottweiler within. With the heart of a pit bull that don't bark for pretend. My bites cut deep, break the bone and the skin. With the level of hustlenomics you do not comprehend. So first I took a block down on the west side end. And then secured a spot with some goons and some kin. And then sent out some flyers, let the games begin. And in 6 months time, the city like that's him. Oh yeah, he the one that moved the hustle to the verbs. And yeah, he the one that knocked the hustlers off the curb. And yeah, he the one that set up shop without a word. And he the one that got it cracking. And all he did was rapping by the Hooters. I kept killers from being shooters. Put a mic in a thug's hand, now he loyal like Pats fans. Take a man off the streets past the needles and crack cans. Promise mama to keep him safe, then put some food in his face and he'll kill for you. But I don't need him for that. Click like, click share, tell them bitches we back. Share the whole location, tell them niggas where we at. Cause we out here, we ain't the cheese, we the trap.